Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, First Order Business. I want to say thank you so much for the subscribers, for the people who push that like button, even the people who push the dislike button, and the people who leave comments. It is so very much appreciated by me. I'm not getting any money off this channel, so it's kind of an ass pat, so every now and then we all need a little ass pat, and I would love to get it up to 1,000 subscribers by the new year. That would be amazing. So first order of business is to say thank you. Second order of business is to say the reason I've had a little bit of a hiatus is I got a little bit of eye strain. Do you think that I'm a good patient? No. I found myself reading a over 400 page document on the Vatican's website about what the Pope knew about Cardinal McCarran. And oh my gosh, you want to talk about something that'll get you biting the pillow in anger. Yeah, that's one. So if you want to hear about that, I'll be happy to do a series on that. That is some craziness through the decades of what they knew about Cardinal McCarran and what they did and didn't do about it, and past blame, and you could do a whole Netflix series on that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. So today we're going to do a recap of the current events in the Chad Daybell and the Lori Vallow Daybell case. If you don't know anything about that case, check out the prior videos because it is way too deep to give you a one-sentence summary. On December 3rd, 2020, the defense, Chad Daybell's defense, filed a motion for the change of venue. So John Pryor filed this motion. In this request, a motion for a change of venue is asking the court to move the case away from the jury pool that it's in right now, the area, into another within the same state, Idaho. And the defense cites reasons in support of this motion. Concerns for the defendant getting a fair and impartial trial. And jury. The jury pool around that area, and it's not a big town, guys. This isn't New York City. You know what I'm saying? It's a small area. The defense cites that the jurors' exposure to pretrial publicity has likely tainted the jury pool, creating bias. I totally agree. This channel, as told by Thielen, is hundreds of miles away from Idaho and where this trial will be held. And we're talking about it here on YouTube. People who have never met Lori and Chad, who probably aren't even Mormon. You know what I mean? Probably never been to Idaho. And here we are talking about it on YouTube, guys. I've formed an opinion. Have you? Do you think the people in the little teeny town around where this case is currently being tried haven't firmly formed opinions? But let's keep going. The motion cites inflammatory media coverage, the incessant media coverage, overwhelming local reporting. He even mentioned Lori Vallow's, she wasn't Daybell at the time, her behavior that wasn't associated with Chad Daybell. Like, he mentions the unnamed person, Annie Cushing, you know what I mean? Her statements regarding Lori Vallow's audio statement, the one that I played in one of my last videos, in which allegedly Lori says that she wanted to kill Joe Ryan and that she'd be killing him if she didn't get a temple recommend. This motion, it's almost saying, look, that isn't even associated with, that's Lori's stuff. That has nothing to do with Chad, and here he is tarred with the same brush. You following me? And there's a side note in this motion. Pryor's pretty by the book with his motions, in my paralegal opinion, but he kind of swerves a little bit and mentions that how they want Tammy Daybell, that's Chad Daybell's deceased wife, her autopsy results released because he thinks not releasing them advances a narrative and it also taints the jury pool. All right, he tied that in. Okay, and I also agree. I agree. Make it public. Make her autopsy results public. He's saying that it's implying that there could still be a murder, that Chad's involved with it, and that's further tarring his client and tainting the jury pool. But honestly, Tammy Daybell's autopsy is irrelevant to the case at bar. it's irrelevant to this case, but he does swerve and he ties it in. The motion also states that Chad hasn't given any public interviews. True. And that there were ribbons and children's pictures on government property. So he's shading the prosecution. But allegedly, once this was brought to the court's attention, those things were taken down. And, you know, it's kind of shading the prosecution a little bit about, you know, Rob Wood and co. or whoever had authority over the government building, allowing like a memorial to be placed. This is my opinion. Basically, the defense is frustrated with the prosecution. Oh my God, shock and awe, right? That's almost every case, right? Isn't it? But the defense is frustrated with the prosecution and the state that they aren't doing enough to keep the jury pool untainted. It's not as if, I mean, we've had cases where you've got the state attorneys going out and giving interviews on the sidewalks, coming back and forth to court. I don't see that here. I mean, so his complaint against the state is that the state can't stop East Idaho news. The state can't stop inflammatory media coverage. The state can't stop, as told by Thielen, doing a YouTube channel. The state can stop memorials being placed on their property, which they allegedly stopped, and they can release Tammy Daybell's autopsy results. Do it. I agree. Or have the police or whoever put pressure on them to wrap that up. I agree. I agree on that. I also want to say, guys, you know, I think you guys agree. I mean, this is a discourse. The turd is already in the pool, correct? The turd is in the pool. The turd went from one end of the pool to the other end of the pool. All the spectators saw the turd in the pool. And you can take the turd out of the pool, but that pool water's tainted. Just saying, right? I mean, come on. It's also mentioned in this motion that Chad Daybell's sister-in-law, so that would be his brother's wife, an LDS stakeholder allegedly in Henry's Fork, sent an email. I'm not really 1,000% sure on this, but allegedly there was some kind of email sent to the ladies in that stakeholder jurisdiction involving Chad Daybell's sister-in-law. And then this motion mentions that the sister-in-law is related to law enforcement. And it's kind of bringing up the question of, is law enforcement speaking on the facts of this case? Did law enforcement have any involvement in the sister-in-law sending out this letter regarding this case? And so essentially this motion is stating the jury pool is tainted. We haven't given interviews. The defense hasn't given any interviews. The witnesses are all giving interviews. That's true. A lot of them are. The state's allowed memorials on the government's property. East Idaho News is covering this daily. I don't think they're covering it daily, but they were covering every little thing that did come out. They would cover it, right? Chad is being joined in with Lori. The cases have been joined. I mean, and now even Lori's old audio tapes, they're kind of tarring Chad with a negative brush. The LDS people, they're sending out emails, you know, la 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 la, you know, and citing the East Idaho News coverage, interviews of material witnesses like Melanie Gibb. I mean, think about that. Boy, I mean, I don't know how many times I've watched that. That actually keys up. If you watch anything on the Vallow Daybell case, and you just let your YouTube run, it'll key right up to that Melanie Gibb 3-part series. So I don't even know how many people have seen that are local. So I agree. Oh, also pictures of the body's location. Think of those overhead pictures by the helicopters. Again, I think that's the press. That's not something that the state can control or even the judge can control. But having said all that, he's proving his case about the taint, about that turd that's been in the pool. Now nobody's going to want to get in the pool, or they're going to have opinion about that turd in the pool. So he is asking the court to move the venue to a large population where the jury pool hasn't been exposed to so much pretrial publicity. And I say grant it. Grant it. It's a no-brainer. It really is. And sometimes I think that there have been times that the state works with it. It says, yeah, you know what? We need to move this. And so this is where maybe I'm going to give you some new ideas on this. You have two choices, all right? You don't move it at all. You have a tainted jury pool, or you have a jury pool that you have it's almost impossible to impanel a jury because there's so many people with a cause challenge. And if you want me to get into the challenges, I'd love to do a video on that, where you have the voir dire and then you have the cause challenges and the peremptory challenges for the jury. So you don't move it, and it's almost impossible to find an unbiased jury. Or two, you move the judge, the prosecution, the defense, the whole court out of the 7th Judicial District, and you take up space in another courthouse. So in this case, your witnesses, all the local ones from around there, they have to travel. You already probably have people, in this case, the family members, a lot of them aren't in Idaho. So they're already traveling anyway. The court is going to have to either reside there or they're going to have to drive there daily. Move it to, say, Boise, you know? Or, choice 2, which I like, is you go to the other jurisdiction, like Boise or Twin Falls, and you impanel a jury there, okay? You go through the voir dire there, you get them, you find the ones that can be away from home for 3 weeks, you sequester them, and you bus them back to the original courthouse for the time of the trial. 3 weeks, 2 months. COVID will work for this jury, as so many folks are out of work right now. So the sequestration won't be as bad because we're already sequestered. And I don't think I've seen anybody mention that. Now, you might say, gosh, that's odd. I think Idaho has the ability to do this. Our state does, and we do it all the time. Our courts commonly do this for high-profile cases because the turds in the pool. Example, Casey Anthony case. The judge, gosh, I love you. Judge Belvin Perry is awesome, by the way. Amazing man. Can't say enough good things about him. But he, in the Casey Anthony case, he moved the jurors, not the trial. And what he did was he sequestered an out-of-town jury, and he made sure those folks were able to be away for 3 weeks, 2 months, and he just moved them into a hotel for the duration of the trial. And what you do in this case when you're making this plan, and both the state and the defense are working hand in hand on this, is they do not disclose the change of venue, okay? Lest the media stir up the publicity in the new place, like Boise or Twin Falls, Could people in Twin Falls and Boise start getting those jury notifications? Then they're going to start crapping themselves because they know the judge is doing this. So they don't tell you ahead of time. What they do is they just grant it, and then they say, okay, we're going to Boise and Twin Falls, and the people just get their normal jury notifications. And when they come in, they see, there's Rob Wood, there's John Pryor. And by that time, if they are following the case, that's when they're apprised. And you go through your normal voir dire, everything's normal, and they try to assess who can be sequestered for that amount of time. And guess what? There's a whole lot more folks who can be sequestered due to COVID. And then what they would do is they would accept them. They would take the alternates. They tell them to pack a bag and meet at a certain location. They bus them back to the original court area. They find a hotel or a place that can put them up, and you just sequester them. And by the way, for COVID, I think this would be a better option for the jury not catching COVID, because you test them or not. You find people who are healthy. You could give them a COVID test. You put them in places, they're sequestered. They're not seeing other people. Isn't this a brilliant idea? I mean, they do it already, and in the time of COVID, I think this would be a good idea. So what they do to weigh this decision, one of the factors is like they weigh the number of local witnesses who would have to travel, or family members that would have to travel, and the court that would have to travel to a foreign location like Boise or Twin Falls, against the inconvenience of having a set number of jurors having to be sequestered and away from home. It's very expensive to sequester a jury because you're paying for their bus ride, you're paying for their hotel stay, you're usually paying for their room service or their meals if they eat their meals together. You're paying for all their things while they're away. But if you figure out all the hundreds of thousands of dollars it also is going to cost to move the entire court to Twin Falls and to Boise, and if you have, like in the Casey Anthony case, they had like 250 local witnesses who would have been either unable to participate in trial or totally inconvenienced to have to go to, say, like Tallahassee or someplace really far away to participate. So what you do is just move the jurors in. And also the motion included an attached survey that shows that the citizens in that county have formed an opinion. And I just really think this is a no-brainer, don't you guys? I think that the trial should be moved or the jurors bussed in from elsewhere. And when one of the things that the court looks at when they look at where to change the venue is the jury pool size and a comparative statistical population. So you want a jury of your peers, right? I mean, would it be, I don't know if they would figure religion into it, but would it be fair to, when you have a very Mormon city, to then try something in a place where nobody's Mormon? You following me? So they tend to try to find a population that's sort of the same, but in this case you're going to need a bigger jury pool because this is a high profile case. I just brought up Boise and Twin Falls as just big places nearby that are out of the judicial circuit. Now, ask yourself, have you formed an opinion on this case? Maybe you have. In this case being the bodies being on Chad's property and the probability, the belief that he may be responsible for the bodies being on his property. I think in that case, most of the people, if not every single one of them watching here, feels that there's a high probability that he and Lori are responsible for that, right? Okay. Now, having said that, I also have the firm belief that I want Chad, Lori, and any of their other alleged accomplices in this conspiracy to have the best trial possible. And what that means to me is not a stacked prosecution, a stacked state case against a defendant. It means I want him to have the best damn attorney and her to have the best damn attorney they can get. I want them to have every chance to put forth their case, to answer their accusers, and I also want them to be able to have a case that's not filled with holes that then someone can go and appeal on a million different issues. And I think that if you don't change the venue in this case, it's just going to be one of the main things for an appellate issue. So, what do you think, guys? Leave your comments and opinions below. Won't it be a hoot and holler if they actually do move a jury in, like I said? Because I don't think I've seen anybody else mention that. And to me, that's just like the first thing that came to my mind. I mean, we're in COVID. It just makes sense. But maybe maybe Idaho doesn't allow it, but I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much for your patience and for your viewership and for your discussions. I appreciate it. And without further ado, have an excellent day. Bye.